The sky was a sheet of gray, and the rain poured down in endless silver threads. Two Buddhist monks, Tanzan and Ekido, walked silently along a muddy country road, their robes soaked and heavy. They had been traveling from one village to another, spreading kindness and practicing mindfulness in every step. Tanzan, the elder monk, was cheerful and open-hearted, his eyes glimmering with quiet wisdom. Ekido, the younger one, was more rigid, always clinging to the monastery rules and silence. They had been walking for hours without a word, the sound of raindrops and squelching mud their only company. As they rounded a bend, they came upon a small village stream that had overflowed because of the storm. The water rushed across the path, turning the road into a shallow river of brown, swirling mud. Standing beside it was a young woman dressed in fine silk, holding her kimono up helplessly, unable to cross. The woman looked anxious, glancing from the muddy road to her clean shoes. Everywhere she looked, the water was too deep and too dirty. Her eyes darted to the monks as they approached, her voice trembling. "Please, could one of you help me across?" Ekido froze, his mind caught in conflict. Their monastic code forbade them from touching women. It was a rule they both had vowed to follow. He looked down, pretending not to hear her, afraid to break the sacred discipline. But Tanzan, the elder, simply smiled. Without hesitation, he stepped into the mud, lifted the woman onto his back, and carried her gently across the flooded road, his sandals sinking into the soft earth. The woman gasped softly, surprised by his kindness. She held her breath as they crossed, afraid to disturb his calm. When they reached the other side, Tanzan gently set her down, bowed, and continued walking. "Thank you, kind monk," she whispered, her voice warm and sincere. But Tanzan didn't answer. He was already walking away, his sandals leaving deep prints in the mud. Ekido followed, silent and frowning. Hours passed as they continued down the road. Neither spoke, yet the air between them grew thick with unspoken thoughts. Ekido's brows furrowed, his heart troubled by what he had witnessed. He tried to focus on the sound of rain dripping from the trees, but the image of Tanzan lifting the woman would not leave his mind. The rules were clear. The act was forbidden. Finally, when they reached their lodging at nightfall, Ekido could no longer hold his silence. He turned to Tanzan, voice tight with restraint. "Brother," he said, "we monks are not supposed to touch women, especially young and beautiful ones. How could you carry her?" Tanzan looked at him calmly, wiping the mud from his sandals before stepping inside. Then he smiled softly and said, "Oh, you mean that woman on the road? I left her there hours ago. Are you still carrying her?" Ekido stood speechless. The words struck him like a bell ringing in the still night air. He realized that though Tanzan had carried the woman physically for only a moment, he himself had carried her in his mind all day. The rain outside had stopped. A faint moon rose over the forest, and a calm breeze rustled the leaves. Tanzan sat in meditation, his face serene, unbothered by the day's events. Ekido watched him quietly. He saw how freely Tanzan lived, not bound by attachment to rules, but guided by the compassion and wisdom in his heart. In that moment, Ekido understood that true purity was not in avoiding the world, but in being untouched by it. Even while walking through the mud, compassion, when pure, leaves no stain. The next morning, sunlight poured through the clouds. The road, though still muddy, shimmered under the golden light of dawn. Ekido walked beside Tanzan, his heart lighter than before. He no longer saw mud or rules, only the path itself. Each step an act of mindfulness, each breath a new beginning. He had learned to let go. As they passed another village, a child waved at them from the roadside. Tanzan waved back with a joyful laugh, and Aikido smiled too. The world, once heavy with doubt, now felt full of kindness. Days later, when they reached their monastery, Aikido bowed deeply before his teacher. He no longer sought to judge others' actions, but to understand their intentions. The lesson of the muddy road had cleansed not his feet, but his mind. That night, under the starlit sky, Tanzan whispered to his disciple, "The world is like a muddy road. If you cling to the dirt, you'll sin. If you walk with awareness, your heart remains clean, no matter how deep the mud." And so, the story of Tanzan and Aikido became a quiet teaching among monks, a reminder that true enlightenment is not found in distance from life, but in how lightly we hold it, even when our robes are soaked with rain.